So welcome everyone. We are so happy to see you again today. So we continue our 2 days special activity for peace, inner peace and peace in the world. So this morning we have another activity starting with compassion, the subject about compassion and some also meditation. So welcome everyone.
Me too, welcome. Okay. 나는 드링데 페블 창만하는 얘기 참지시고요스. 네, 가서요스.
Welcome everyone. We are so happy to see you this morning.
근데 먼저 다 계산은 먼저 때지 시에자버렸어. 다 되는 말이 뒤 죽투는 마 시에르지 레디네 먼저 미티제데 사발레인데 발라 양처럼 저 때지 식자서 물어보지랬어. 그냥 먼저 간토도 좀 무트니 시에있어.
Yeah. So actually, yesterday morning, those of you who were present yesterday, we already started short teaching about compassion, wisdom, etc. So we will continue. So some people of you are new today, you were not yesterday. So anyway, you will also learn something and we'll continue also what we started yesterday.
다 드린 간족에 된대게는 나 심라 시디룹시게 된대게 닝제게 다 된대게 투섬 집에 응원랑 알아도네 된대게네 닝제게 다 체주라고 처와라고 되는 간족에 네야 전소야게 참바야버리야 전야 다네 심디 야부제게는 네투야게는 시신이 된대게 시도 응원랑 간족에 신도데 교자고스.
So as we explained yesterday, also as a very important element for peace is the compassion. So in order to also remember compassion and try to develop compassion in us, we try to remember the qualities and the benefits of compassion. So this way, we use also in the Tibetan tradition some chanting. This chanting, the words of the chanting is the Tibetan language, but the meaning is to remember the qualities and benefits of compassion.
난저기 신도인데 내 부배 직도를 줘야 했어. 저런저 계산나신 이제 저런저게는 직대 하마고에는 신도 줘도 받는 신도인데는 소소게는 암조는 말에는 아직 쓰는 말에 시대를 편하게 누가도 질레 중선배 저런저 신도 줘배 갑라 아니 우
So the chanting we will do is in Tibetan language. So probably you don't understand, but the meaning of the words is to remember the qualities of compassion. So you can use this time for meditation, using also focusing your mind on your breath, exhalation and inhalation, and trying to develop positive attitude related to compassion also.
근데게는 신도 차오다고 말한다는 다 심시원 내외 아니 신내데 오미아이스.
And after the short chanting, we will do together short meditation, trying to install peace in our mind to achieve calm abiding.
되게 신내데 저런도 다 냠뇽라고 요베이네 아니 다가라체 진달래 매이네 진달래 요베인 다가라체 진달 매베이네 신내스도 발라 저 심데 아니 제게 남도게네 제 고백의 로다 남인다 아니 니다 무바테즈네 바 간에 심데 단중이 내자다 세자데도 심데야 야보지야데 선에 되게다 심데 뭐발네 잠닝제 잠바다 시라고 되죠 루기야도지 룩색 누다고 되게네 신의 공셔랬어.
If you have already received the instructions on how to achieve calm abiding through meditation, shamatha, so you can do as usual to use these instructions. If not, in brief, it's trying to achieve a state of inner peace, which also allows us to develop more inner wisdom. So it means that we try to free the mind from all kind of unbalanced state of mind or some kind of hindrance that we have in the mind, like mental agitation, distraction, or too much mental fogginess, dullness, laxity. We try to free the mind from that and bring the mind to peace inside.
Okay, now we go start and chanting. Okay, this energy chanting. Then we will do meditation, maybe 7 minutes. Meditation, calm abiding, 7 minutes. Okay, first we do chanting. Okay, okay. Đông Bò Dòng Đền Đề Đi Dinh Sinh Bò Trà Dòng Bò Yang Đà Quan Dô Quê San Dê Rì Bò Tăng Xá Sô Đêm Đê Võ Rà Sinh Bò Chi Đền Dinh Bò Chi Bò Đô Bò Ca Lô Chú Bò La Na Mê Bò La Đông Mi Na Nhi Đông Bò San Dê Dòng Đền Đề Bê Dê Võ Xá Xá Đô Bò La Xá Thê Chödu Gyāso Tīkpa Chīyāmi Chāshīyā Gyāvā Pūsū Dzogpa Chī Rāngi Simni Yōnsu Du Dīni Sāñjē Dēmbā Simjin Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Demba Juje Simjin Tamje Dungin Dan Dungin Ji Judan Chewa Juje Simjin Tamje Dungin Mive Dewa Dan Min Chewa Juje Senje danje nire chakdan yeda Chewe dan nyala newa yo Sanje chudan soye jona la Chanjo Barado Dani Yazo Nagi Jinzo Yeve Zona Rola Benje Zanje Druva Ayo Yang da ye no la tu xin ju ba yin xin ne ye la dong song de je we la nyu do ye ju la ye wa jin ye Lô bè yu la yin wa yi yin jin yang da dong la zi jin zhu wa yin xin ne la dong song de zhe wei yu du ju la jie wa jin jin Okay. I chose Gomlia Tanshuas.
You can wake up from the meditation.
당가란저네 계산다 드링이 샤 주데네 나 심규라네 텐데기 시데 디지털하게 탑라네 간족에다 디기 짜완러버데 탑데 다 주러버데 에네 탑데 에네 짜완러버데 닝지 셰도요 레스 계산 닝지 셰브레 다 드링 무투네 닝지 돌 데시 데시 잡 데네 간조 제레 닝제게 냠레 숭아동 데시 아니야 뭐 주고스.
So we explained yesterday and we continue today the same meaning that in order to achieve peace at a global level, for example, in the world peace, we need to start by having inner peace. And this inner peace cannot happen without having this feeling or this quality of compassion inside us. So that's what we will continue to explain, this importance of the compassion in order to achieve peace.
다 드링단다 무트네 닝제게 아니 제 차와스나 민도 닝제게 다 연된다 버지 두두 셰고 스테마 셰베는 안도 닝제 셰데베네 직 감보라고 자는 뜻.
I will explain also the qualities and the benefits of compassion. If not, it's difficult to understand what is the meaning of compassion. We hear often the word compassion, but what actually means.
뭐라 닝제게 차와라고데 셰 되는 안도네 닝제게 되네 다 미바다 남바다 지레디죠 냠내치다는 셰고스.
I will explain first the great qualities and advantages of compassion, and after how to practice compassion, how to develop compassion in our mind by understanding how it exists, what is its aspect or its function and its focus, how it functions, compassion.
단단 쪽에 안에 셔야게 닝지신인데 단단 쪽에 특별 첨보기 룩체니 닝지 첨보신이 시작이라서 닝지 첨보신이 시작이라서 특별 첨보 루도 닝지 첨보 시작으로 지단에 닝지라 다 림바 망보시요레스.
Actually, compassion has different aspects and many levels of compassion. But the compassion we want to mention here is the compassion mentioned in the Mahayana, or what we call the great vehicle of Buddhist teaching. We talk about here the great compassion.
단단 쪽에 닝지 첨보세도 발라 안에 치게네 로와 즉 포모다 리루다 출루다 제수다 테네다 텐데게 균에 매도닝게 나는 로와 용조를 받아야네 텐데게 삼로 단에 캡투야게 동행다 동행유 전도게 캡투야게 텐데게 둠바직라는 간조 닝지 첨보세그레스 ane soso jubo chayage tabdala ya ningje resi ne ningje chambosi mi dag mares tringa do ningje chambosi gangal pa chaptumi ji.
So here the great compassion that is mentioned in the Buddhist teachings is the compassion that can pervade all sentient beings without differentiation or discrimination about what kind of sentient being, sex or ethnic or whatever, and any also kind of sentient beings, not only humans, but all sentient beings. That is what the quality is called great compassion. Other than that, there exists lots of compassion. For example, the compassion we have for ourselves or for some of our close ones. This is also called compassion, but it is not called great compassion.
단다게 닝지 첨보스인데 아니 나란족이 아니 라제버 짐베 진지 짐바 베네 종강 잡으러와 베네 차완 잡 냐스면 차완 잡으러 나란도 밑에 란 진지는 마게 아니 쿠나나 바데 추데닝게 파 고치야게 데믹 다부드레스 닝지 첨보스인데 데믹 샘드 바데 차장 바 잠불링 통야게 님의 우신이라고 정말 바 캡도니게 데믹 다부드레스.
Also, we can compare the great compassion to a key. What kind of key? The key to open our ego. Our ego is like a mental prison, mental jail in which we are stuck and we only think about ourselves, like a net. Also, we can compare to a net or a jail. So the great compassion is the key to open this net of the ego.
Okay. Do you like open mind or just keep ego ego seven? 그래서 심데 니마 샤완나시 고파 제단에 대해서 랑가 과도는 도티저 가사리 ane ran jinjin chingdene gasares.
Do you prefer the altruistic open mind which shines like the sun everywhere, or you prefer the self-centered egocentric attitude? Which one do you prefer?
근데 ran jinjin 나네 대샤베네 만조에네 종간나는 추대인 잡으시다세네 가두이나 때네 징나다 시나 미션은 땅나다 댕암다다 근데 망부지 연결다 용색이 싸워대 란진지래 대 고지야대 닝지레스 닝지데 데미레스 다 고지약 데믹.
If we get stuck, if we keep inside the jail of the egocentric attitude, so our mind will be so much close-minded, and it will bring all kinds of different emotions like fear, anxiety, and stress. If we want to be free of that, we need the key of the great compassion.
아니 그래서 모두 입에서 뭐네 레벨이다.
Do you agree? Do you think it's true?
저런 그 인지 첨부 삼로 따서는 미 구양보 차노 그러다. 구양보 조고망보 아니 랑게 녀람 창만을 참바다 인지 제연에 창만 찍받아 보지. 라니 대화도 능이 미도 나신 게 신창마로 찍바리 삼베텐데게 땅념다 보지.
Yeah, it's true. If we have the mind of great compassion, so we will feel really open-minded, and also every people, every sentient being we meet, we will feel connected to them, like having like great family or friends with everyone. We will feel like connected to other people. So that's a great benefit of great compassion.
이제 출루게 계자 말했어. 근데 생감을밖에 매제데 간제세 매제데 제가 약부샤야 지금 봐. 투남 거 텐데 그 시도에 말도 출루게 계자도 몰음자게 말했어. 소소게 삼다야랬어.
So it's not something related to religious faith or whatever. It's something that you can understand at the psychological level how the mind works, and you will see that it's true that if the mind is open and you have an altruistic attitude, thinking about others and compassion, you will feel this way. You will see this benefit. This is one great benefit of great compassion.
창말로 시대 창말로라 된대게 제게는 마다 된대게 탑주는 누구야 말했어. 근데 발라 닝지 첨부선인데 유라 야보직 차선에 아니 시대게 시대 유야게 속다도 속속이 싸와도 근데 아니 닝지를 알게 열었어. 닝지데 잡링 시대게 속자랬어. 미기는 속 뭐가 속다 되는 시기로 봐. 속이 싸와도 근데 닝지를 알게 열었어.
We all like peace. We all wish for world peace also. We don't like the conflict at the small level, and for sure we don't like the conflict and the war at the global level. So in order to stop that, the root or the life of the path that permits that is the compassion, the great compassion.
결혼도 유라네 된대게 란진진 권에 파 최선에 되는 잠물링라 시대기 니만다보지 샤인 거랬어. 되게 자와데 또 닝지 첨보라 잘내기요. 대인자 닝지데 시대기 속자 인스.
Do you agree? Do you find true that when we have this mind, this open mind of compassion, of great compassion, so this will open the mind and this will permit of the sun of the mind to shine and to not be stuck in the egocentric attitude and be the root of peace in the world.
So that way we are looking this great compassion. We need in the world non-violence. So that way we are looking compassion. Everybody we need, you know. 안에 되네 안에 다 처와 숨바로보데 닝지 생인데 빼나 세미게 처와 메바게 세미게 탑람 약쇼더블 남쪽도 줘봐데 닝지 첨부레스 신의 처와 방약.
Another great advantage of compassion is the non-violent attitude. It's the path of non-violence for others.
가르세네 된대게 닝지 첨복의 삼로 코인도 발라 되는 신 심제 탐제라 안에 소속의 참바다 자와의 숙체를 림도 발라 신 심제나 차와치야라 오 대시직 야부민도 섬네 세나라고 뭐다라고 랭고를 텔렘도 칼레랑 알아줘야 된대게 즉야 심쟁게 차와라는 즉 지난 참반인지 견도 발라 라야 심쟁테다 타녀로녀로 소속의 낭미 소속의 부구다 포문난신 제 심쟁의 자와셔를 림도 발라 되는 칼레 아니 즉 샤미게 세레 까세라 종이한다고 된대게 빵난 지하게 로드도 랭고레스 된도발라 에네 닝지신인데 세명게 에네 람촉도 주바 탑람 약쇼도 자겨레스 만 창만하고 그랬어.
The compassion, the great compassion is the best way to non-violence because having a kind attitude to others, like a feeling that others have the same wish than us, they don't want suffering and they want happiness. So more we increase in ourselves this consideration of others by thinking that they are like us, so less we will be able to make something to harm them because we will feel they are precious to us. We will feel they are valuable, that they have this wish of happiness, they don't want to suffer. So we will slowly stop our kind of behavior that could harm them because we will feel like they are our family members. All sentient beings, we will feel like they are our family members or friends. So in this way, we will not act violently for them. And for example, also even this could lead to some consideration about thinking that, like some people, they become vegetarian for this reason, thinking that this way we have to less make suffering for animals by less killing them. So this way we choose to have different kind of food habit. So this very great path for non-violence, this is the best path, is great compassion.
다 닝지 전부 생긴 데레스 ene 산제기 ene nganzolane sungya dabode tendege zu ene ngaranzo 다 미데바 대와 메도니 둥에 가두 이나제 강에 dab보다 뉴몽베 강에 체도 싸와 dabode 란진지레스 tendege 란진진데 메바소베 탑라 최주풍부 예디 시동 숭여레스 되게 산제게 ene sungrap 탐제 직도 두베 싸완다보데 ene 닝지 첨부 직도 두베는 닝지 첨부데 초탐제게 싸와 자기열의 수용 예리시동 싸와 야면은 도당하게 싸와 자기열에서
we say in the Buddhist philosophy that all problems and sufferings have one common root, which is the egocentric attitude, and in order to be free of that, all Buddha's teachings, which are said to be 84,000 category of Dharma, of Buddha's teachings, we say also they can all be included into one single quality, which is the quality of great compassion. So also not only in the sutra aspect of the Buddha's teaching, but also in the mantra aspect, also this compassion is very important as the main quality.
Yeah. 란진진의 제베 탑람라보데 란진진 메버소야게 탑이 약쇼데 된데게 에네 남이도베 시랍스니데레스 란진진 용세 싸와데 단진의 용교레스 다들 dim바 덴루진베 딘진의 용교레스 되게 딘진 메버소베 탑데 딘진 메버 똑베 시랍데레스 디 시랍 되게 싸와데 닝지 시라고 자와자고 인도는 닝지스인데 개천법에 처와요되는지레스
닝지스는 시라고 자와
시라고 자와 시라게 네 근데 란진직 자와 단진데 맵소야게 님부데 아는
also we say that this self-centered attitude, which we can call also the ego, is based on another kind of mind that we call the self-grasping mind, or the false belief in an independent self. The way to free ourselves from this illusion, which we call the self-grasping mind, is the wisdom that understands the selflessness. So this wisdom is the root of the self-centered attitude, but the root of this self-grasping mind is the the root of the wisdom that realizes selflessness is the great compassion. So the compassion is at the root of this mind that can free us of the self-grasping and the self-centered attitude.
텐데베스 아니 남의 독배 시랍데 누독 요모연데 닝질을 라레기어레스 고 자와를 라레기어레스 어딘데 자와디 개침부레스.
So the power of this mind of wisdom realizing selflessness is founded at the root in great compassion. So it depends on great compassion.
다 닝질이 차와 타마딜라비스.
And also there's also lots of other benefit from compassion, but I will just mention the last one.
다 타마데 닝지스년데 나란조게 낭초게 냠랭게 닝보디 인식레스 냠랭게 닝보스 낭초스년데 산제게 텐데게 시작에 남라나 셔요 말레스 냠랭게 로 두야게 쳐도 숭요레스 로 두야게 쳐도 로 두야게 아니 냠랭게 닝보데 닝제스 와스 다 너르드나 나란조 닝지 찌고 냠랭 제대비나 저기요레스 망보 마시는 저기레스다 냠랭게 닝보니 닝지 이노스다.
And for sure, the Buddha's teaching were not said only for education purpose. They were said only to help our mind, so to put into practice in order to achieve more peace and happiness. So if we go to the essential point of the practice, all the Buddha's teachings can be included into one practice. This is the practice of compassion.
인제 송시도스 야와 참바게 자와 닝제 메주나 까제스와 니미 주르스 론데 둥에 메스나 셈젠 통지 니미 롭송시도스 텐데 발랑 안한조 자와 닝제 메비네 되는 안한조다 제 냠네 지야게라 수바 고미야다 깔레자야도 주네 아니 깔레카보 신도 인사레스 텐도 안한조게 제 둥엔다부 때지 제글라 수바 치마투베네 신 셈젠게 통치야라 뱀마시 깔레카부도 텐도 발랑 안한조게 냠네 지야게 자와 닝보다보데 다 닝제데 개치쇼르셨다.
As the great Bodhisattva Maitreya said, without compassion at the root, we will not be able to be patient. And without the capacity to endure the hardships, we will not be able to benefit others. So the importance of great compassion is there not only for oneself, but also to be able to help others.
다 대에는 된대게 닝제스니들라 처와다 연된다 폐용 된다 할레베 요베는 다들 냠낸 간대식으로 다 냠낸시나 시기스.
So this great compassion has so much benefits, but how do we put that into practice?
Yeah. Okay, now we how to practice now. Okay. 다들 닝제데 냠낸 치와라 에네 쟁간족에 쪼다버지 개주 숨거토니 주고레스. 베네 믹바다버지 추다버 남바 믹바다버시다 적세 에네 되게 란셴게 남바다버디 칸데지레 아니 다고 탈레네 죽게네 제게 실레다버지 칸데지 이메게 개주 숨야고 시행으로다.
To put, in order to put into practice the compassion, we need to understand how it works and what it is. So actually, compassion is a part of the mind. So we have to understand what is the aspect of the compassion itself, also how it functions by what is the focus of this compassion, and also what is the function of this compassion.
다 된대게는 닝제게 냠네 치와라 당복에 믹바세나면도 꾸능세나 되게 즉 삼로 동야데 개시슈리스다 당보데 믹바스나 꾸능세나 다 삼로 오는 냠네 마체고나 삼로 동야 샤시딩야도 개시무지래로
믹바로.
믹바도 샤시딩야다 꾸능 삼로 가르쳐
The first thing, the most important thing is what is the kind of motivation that great compassion is about. And what is the focus of this compassion?
당복에 삼로 동야라고 될라네 라다 셴게 안에 셈제 탐제네 된대게 제 땅념라 네투비하게 로데 소소게 군웅다 둠바 삼로게 남 체주라고 될라 안에 셴 셈제 탐제 랑게 안에 녀베게 족보 다 라나 마가웨게 랑게 남유게 제데제 마가게 라당 년당 파르마 디제데 창롱원은 냠네 마체고나 로데 제 땅년은 바 네투비하게 로데 삼을 당고를 성원은 닝제게 닝제 첨보게 냠네 지발라 오나 셴기 디제데 네 어디치고레스 땅년을 네투비하 잭시고레스네 어디제네 다니 파마 숨 땅년인데 로데 장고레스.
In order to be able to develop and practice great compassion, we need as a foundation a mind that is able to have like a balance or equal attitude towards others. So it means that usually our mind will make a differentiation between the people that we call our close ones, like our friends and family, etc. And we will have also a different attitude for the people who consider our enemies or people that harming us. And we will have also a different attitude for the people that are between, so that are not harming us and that are not helping us. So first of all, in order to be able to generate this feeling of great compassion, we need to put a balanced mind towards these three so that we don't feel discrimination or a different attitude towards others.
다 대가래 각쇼를 샷. 닝지 냠내 샬. 닝지 첨부스니 대가래 각보를 샷.
But this is the hardest things, like practicing great compassion is very difficult.
근데 가서 닝지 첨부스, 닝지 짬마임바, 닝지 첨부라가 염제 되었다.
That's why we call that great compassion, not only compassion, but great compassion.
닝지 짬라기 민도가.
We don't say just simple compassion, we say great.
다 저런 속에 닝지 첨부대 냠내 지발랑 원라 저런 게 로장야 돼 텐데게 에네제 다다니 파르마숨데 땅님라 네베 로직 콤바 메베네 닝지 첨부 냠내 지하게 폐지 디 고갑세나민도 깨바데 폐지 테브레스 텐데 저로 쩨마토비네 당보디 미바시 이야기 꾸는 게 아니라 텐데 저로 마장비네 깔레 커버레스.
Probably that if we don't have some kind of experience into training into this equal, impartial attitude towards other in this way, it will be very difficult or impossible to generate this feeling of great compassion toward others. So that's why we need at the foundation to start before we train in actual great compassion to train in this equal attitude.
나라서 닝지 첨보라 텐데게 즉 시작에 남단라고 전에 토삼 지야데 토투그레스 나라서 토투그레 삼로 단투그레스 이내 숨발라 콤바 냠레 락다르데 페지 데스 칼레 각쇼데 락다르 엘롭다 저런서 고투그레 녜투그레 삼로 단투그레 주바 단투그레스 이내야 냠렌데다 칼레 가보시 그래서 닝지 첨보게 냠레 집에 당보 시 로데 땅념라바 네토비아데 장야데 콤바치야데 간에 가버렸어.
So the great compassion, actually, in any kinds of practice, we say that there are three parts. The last one is the actual practice, but first we can listen and we can analyze or think about this subject. So we can think about great compassion. We can listen to great compassion. We can think about great compassion. But to put in actual practice, to be able to transform the mind and becoming in this state of great compassion, this is very hard at the beginning. So that's why we need to train slowly in equanimity.
두 살에
Do you think you can do that?
투삼 렐하버렐럽다. 암조 니에급속 내샤르세.
Just hearing and thinking and questioning about that is okay. It's not difficult.
야. 다 된다베게네 닝제 첨보게 미바데 되네 다 단다게 땅님신인데 란데 주 제단다 란데 개첨부 되어res 이네 신게 된다게 다 다니 파르숨 땅님네 두베 이네야 원에게 닝지 첨부 넘버 타바지 차요 말레스 닝지 첨부 넘버 타바지 델레 약제 샤발라 다 다다 신 다시 냠벨 로직 되어res 딩원에네 신 탐제 에네 텐데게 땅님라 내야 로지고시 란데 양조 비게 나시디 데시 되어res 다시 뭐지 다 텔레 약르다네 다 당기 땅님 수사로 신 땅님 수사로 다 라야 신다 냠바게 로직 땅님 로직 제투베네 되네 다 신의 닝지 공개네 란진지 뉴르치민자 신라 텐데게 참바단 잡아데도 슉 첨불 랩되어res 란진진데 마테스 뉴르다네 땅님 로직 제투베네 다 닝지 전부데 야고용 그랬어.
And also, in order to practice and to develop in our mind actual great compassion, we need not only that, because when we achieve this state of mind, when we are able to approximately achieve the state where we consider others to be equal, like friends and enemies, and between, we can see them as equal, but still there is something that is not equal, that is others and myself. Before, in the first part, when we train in equal mind between others, we don't train too much according to oneself. Now we have to achieve also a state where not only others will feel equal, but I will be also equal to others. So because if not, we will feel that myself is still more important than others. So we need, in order to achieve great compassion, to consider also oneself as equal to others.
텐데 발라 텐다베 닝지 첨부 냠네 치발라 오 텐데게 다신 제베 삼로지 로장네 타말라 아니 다신 제부 두성 오다 다신 제고서레 다시 마제비네 단다기 녜기스 단다 녜기 셴라 차와다 누지야다 라니야 미지바 강에 대 용세 싸와대 오 나랑 개침보 셰데베라 진진게 오 쫑게 데레 샤시도 다 셴신인데 라나 쫑신이 셴 레민도 셴신인데 라나 팬도 유니 라니라 디기 두비아게 탑람이 약쇼데 셴 레샤 대인도발라 다 다셴 냠데나 디기민도 다 패지 셴데 개체즈셰 란데 개중즈셰제 오만 삼로데 츠 제셰 다셴 제베게 된데게 란진지 좀라 니바통 셴 개천보임베 텔라 연된 톤에 다셴 제고도 삼벨로지 제소네 다 닝제 냠는 지게는 되는 닝제 다 부다지야 요르스다 되네 닝제 부다.
And not only that, because we also, even if we achieve a state of mind where we are feeling like equal to others, if we analyze correctly what is the nature of reality, we will see that there is so much benefit about the altruistic mind, and all our problems and sufferings coming from the egocentric attitude. So this way, when we understand that the great benefit, the great qualities of our happiness coming from others, we try to exchange this attitude, the normal attitude where we consider usually ourselves more important and more precious and more valuable than others. This attitude should be reversed in order to develop the great compassion. And in this way, we will be able to develop easily great compassion.
다처럼서 닝지 첨부스인데 다 레일 하보라 민두가 왔어.
So you can see that developing great compassion is not easy at all.
닝지 첨부스인데 나란 종원에게 안에 제게네 냠내 집에 누지 간사들라 즉 된데게 옹보 랍답지고 요레스 누룽 투무마인 버주고 그레스.
So that's why also Buddha didn't give this teaching to everyone at any moment, because we said in order to be able to develop great compassion and understand it, the person has to be a proper vessel ready to listen to it.
다 닝지 냠내 지하게는 당고게 즉 자득라고 미바치야 삼로다야데 아니 차송스 다 제주 니바데 시기.
So this first part about understanding what is great compassion is finished. Now we will go to second part.
다 딘데데 응원하네 딘데게 로데 땅님다 다신 냠바 다신 제야가 란진지 종 신진지 연대도 상 득사소네 다신 셈제 탐절마 미기도 다 가르쳐도 세네 다 셈제 탐제 단다 코베게 둥에다 둥에게 유 메도 신도 도기 민둑디 라와 메발람 둥에디 쿠제제다 대시도 그러봐 다 대셔도 발라 다 신티제된 아니 베 란돈 루비아게 베 페용 신진진게 연대 페용 연대 할레브 인도 발라 오다 심제 탐제 디게데 룽데베니 디기민도 콘도 둥에 도기 민두디 둥에게 나르네 둥에나 풍 대도로네 깨내나 둥에게 다 칭대시도 델레 대고 누 삼백이 둠바데 예서는 대기 닝지 무테르스타 닝지 무세나면도 남바세나면도 다 닝지 돈 때와 둠바테르스 닝지 돈데 전도 둠바테르스 둠바째 발라 신심전 담자 하고로 왔을 때 뭐만 이제부터 신세 당님다 다신 저부터.
So what was explained first about the focus of compassion is the all sentient beings, like starting with having an equalitude and equalitude between myself and others, and changing this attitude between myself and others. So after that, what we need to understand about compassion is the attitude or the aspect of compassion itself. Because when we understand, when we look at the situation of all sentient beings, including ourselves, all sentient beings are now deprived of happiness. They are experimenting different kinds of suffering, physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering, a lot of problems they have to experience right now. So the compassion itself is the mind that, seeing the suffering of sentient beings, aspire to free them from their suffering. That's the actual nature of compassion.
Yeah. 다 텐데베네 랑게네 다 타고게 심제 로와 리투라 그래스 다 로와 소소소소라야 둥에 믹스에게 텐데게야 레요데레스 로와 밀레네야 양 소소게 제가 나시기 둥에라 소바 양 로와 미미나 대와 째데네 대와 유비나 쳔바메베게 둥에 조보 약보지 마라베 둥에 라바이는 참두 메베 양 강행게 둥에 가시 조보 마라베 둥에 다 간다 난저 미기 껴발렘베 이니야 껴바 약보레스 온도게 껴와 레디 이니야 미게 둥에 찍벌어야 나란졸라 용한다 냠뇨 여러바스 둥에 나 초보지 여레스 다 텔레장 아니 로아시나 텔레장게 둥에 차요레스 미스니데 오늘 전에 제 대제 온도스도 봐라 라완 유도니지레스 텔라 둥에 나초바 유도바나 다 로아시네다 텔레 나도니 둥에 여트도 장말 미니 대조 된도로 지삼다 그랬어.
So when we consider the different kinds of problems and difficulties and sufferings of sentient beings, we explained that in Buddhist philosophy, we explained there are 6 categories of sentient beings, and all have their all different kinds of problems and sufferings. So, for example, we are more aware of the sufferings of humans. We are this experience right now. So we can see that different kinds of problems exist, being like physical problems, like external problems or internal problems. Even when people have some kind of happy states, for example, when we humans have some kind of happy state, we say in Buddhist philosophy, like human is one of the most favorable or easy or pleasant situation. So this human life also have, even when we have happiness, we have also difficulty. For example, we have a good life, but sometimes we cannot meet the friends that we like to have. We don't find the friends. Or even when we find the friends that we would like to have, after we don't have harmony with them, we find difficulty and conflict with them. We have to separate, etc., etc. So we have all kinds of difficulty. Like one of the big thing of humans is we are actually never satisfied. We have this, but we want more. We have more and we want still more. So if humans who have one of the best conditions to live most like pleasurable, so let alone speaking about other sentient beings which have a lot of different suffering. So that's how we can think slowly about sufferings of samsara, suffering of sentient being, and develop the feeling of compassion to free them from the suffering.
땅 상망로 안에 둥에 두기요 말라 둥에 콘두아시라요 말 나야 둥에 둥에메 둥에 셴두아시라 민도세 데데 둥에게 드르 셰그메시다.
But we don't like suffering, but we don't like to hear about suffering. So that's also my case. I don't like suffering. I don't like to hear about suffering. So I will stop my talking about suffering.
이나 내게 둥에게 남자 망부지 생기 도세. 셴도 연데 이내야 나 도바스 개민도 전도는 인도야 말에 나라 도바 민도세. 이나 생기 요새 둥에 남자 망부지 요거든 게 하고 요새.
I know, I heard and I know and I studied about the different kinds of suffering, the aspect of suffering, but I don't have the wish to speak that with you, and you don't have the wish to listen about that, so I will not speak about that.
Oh yeah. 다 둥에 다 닝지 전부겠냐면 숨바디시아인다스. 당게 실례인데 가르쳐 버렸다.
Now we'll speak about the third aspect of how to practice compassion. What is the function of compassion? Now I already spoke about the focus, sentient beings, and the aspect, which is the wish to liberate from suffering. So now we are the third aspect. I think the third one is the most difficult.
샘제 탐제 소소소소 둥에 대탐제게 둥에다 둥행게 유다 제와 나게 대기 대국이도 네 겐국이 네 지기 삼배 텐데게 베네 학삼기 텐데기 배는 저게 칼라 배와 치고 삼배다 배대 다 주어지려졌어. 땡아란도 배진신나 용거였다. 장만 능에 제빈데 간제 지도를 나란 동에 흥도를 간제스러 봐. 텐데기 다 저게 학삼기 배와 탁주배 내 치고 텐데기 로치 깨고 그랬어. 저와 딱이 차오스도 딱이 저와 차오스도 배 탁주지.
The actual practice of great compassion actually is the hardest thing because it's the taking on ourselves, thinking all these sufferings, all these sentient beings in the samsara are suffering. So I have to take the responsibility. I will do the job of freeing them of their sufferings. That's my great wish, and I will do it. So that's probably something very hard to achieve because we are ourselves in this state of suffering. So it makes us probably fear when we think about these things. So it makes us like impossible to achieve this kind of mental state. So that's the hardest thing.
텐데바 텔라 둥에 단도 렌시 그래. 코 테블에 두 랭고라 봐. 현달 육사 요마다세. 라 개인나 루분한지 루사마. 소소도 랭고다세. 소소 렌네 되네. 소소를 때지 텐데게 학삼게 top 첨부적인 capacity 내외 이네 아니 동에 단도 렌 생기 동에 단도 렌스도 닝지 첨부 냠네 체스도 발라 동에 단도 렌고 거스다.
So practicing great compassion means not only that you wish to liberate all of those sentient beings from their sufferings, but that you are able or that you wish to take in charge, that you wish to remove their suffering from them and take this upon yourself. It's not only like you want to erase that and put it in the garbage. You just want to remove them and you are able to take that for them. So that's something very incredible, you know. That's why it's very hard to develop great compassion.
계산한저 닝제데 툽사레 삼성이 누가세. 대리 닝제데 다 자원에 툽사 말에 삼을 차버렸어.
Maybe yesterday when we spoke about compassion more lightly level, we always think, we maybe think, oh, now I think I can practice really good compassion. But now today we say, oh, I think I cannot.
딱 한달 결혼적에 닝제게 냠nen세 동에 단도 내야게 제 응원에게 무분내줄라 렘 마투비나 텐데게 티링게 동에 단행게 암절을 투바 짬지 결혼도 유라 바자 첨부지 개와게 바자 첨부샤줘랬어.
So for sure, like to be able to have this attitude needs a very, very courageous mind, a very wise mind to be able to do that. But even if we cannot have this kind of attitude right now, which is very difficult, at least just to simply hear about that and think about that is putting great imprints in our mind so that in the future, we can be able to do that for real.
당하는 전에 된대게 냠내 주대네 냠내게 닝보인 수도발라 냠내게 닝보도 주대네 나라 주두베네 된대게는 숭아 엄마네 배매 홍신인데 냠내 닝보 주대 나라 주줘야 돼 버체 나라 줘인도 발라 이라 어디도 삼로데 곰 잡네 나네 된대데 직상보지 동 이지 닝지게 동 상보지 사보지 고메레스 그러나 나니 직 상보지 동나 동인도만 이지 동 사보지 곰지 냠도라 어텐데게 간도 냠는 지초그랬다.
In all the practice of compassion, of great compassion, all the meaning can be included into the one sentence that we call a mantra. So the mantra of compassion has 6 syllables, and this compassion includes all the essence of the practice of compassion. So that's a way we use in the Buddhist tradition. We use the word, so the essential word like the mantra, and concentrating our inner mind on the meaning of compassion and trying to develop that by the support of using the word. So the sound and the word we use as a support, and we try to develop this compassion in our mind.
텐다베 안에 동 사보지 이라 곰네 직상부 동인도 발라 텐데게 데네 직다 로라 투데 직 똑바다고 유베 제베 탑약쇼데 ane zu chamba de shishin shedo yin tangi nge sheyage ane kesan sheyage shine sindres ane ranju la shine ge jik teji nyonganda bo jik chamba de shishin de teji yabu yobe ne 다 냠len 닝제 제인도 발라 아니 닝제 대야 제 냠len 대야 냠len 게 초순 도그레스 란줄라 템바다 시신게 텐데게 제 냠뇽다 텐데게 매베네 텐데게 추자 첨보 닝지 첨보 자 첨보베 사보 시부제 냠len 지게 요베네야 란줄라 템바다 시신 아니 시네게 때제 용한다보다 되주니 매베네 추 사보이네야 심줄 penya medo jisres ta de rale sa de chamba de shishin nuje do bote shinel rale ngaranzo shinegi simbetone ani ngade dongos shinegi simbetone.
So we use our mouth and the sound of the mantra, so we use positive words, positive sound, to help the mind to focus on a positive meaning. We try to develop the mind of compassion, but we need also to accompany that a mind that is focused. So that's why the importance of what we spoke yesterday about the calm, abiding mind, which should be based on mindfulness and vigilance. So if we have certain experience into training in mindfulness and vigilance that can keep the mind focused, so we will be able to kind of, we could say, like digest or to the meaning of the mantra, and the positive mind can develop into us. If we don't have any kind of experience or any kind of mindfulness or vigilance present in our mind, so we try to recite the mantra and we try to keep the mind positive, but because these two qualities are missing, it will be hard to the deep dharma and the deep meaning of this positive dharma to go inside our mind. So this depends on us.
당연 계산 시행 봐서 텐데기 곰기 신의 곰야다 닝제다 시랍다 다 대도 상마라네 말한도 가두이나 제 람기 림바다보데 만나버 제제네 곰구요레스 대도 상마로 제게 릭바단 덴바 라와 텐데기 네 이제 나치라 네 개미 겨와메도니 지그리도레 대신 고다스 개미 또 그래서 당분간은 시내대 약 모셔 되네 닝제 람디게 될 꼼 람라데네 토비하게 안에다 란주 튜니심 란주디 시대 차야라고 데부테셔도 바나 시다 람다 데부티제데 가드는 안족에네 옹게 매버지 로직도 없지.
We have to understand these elements, also how they function together, as we explained yesterday. Like we need like certain mind at the foundation, like a calm, abiding mind, act as a foundation for developing any kind of quality like compassion and wisdom. And this quality, compassion, wisdom, etc., will help to achieve inner peace and happiness. So we have to understand how they function together. They are not contradictory, and they are all logically interdependent.
Okay, now we will do this practice compassion mantra together. Okay, we do 5 minutes together. Maybe we do 21 times. Okay, 21. I do together. Okay, we think good, concentrate this practice compassion. Okay, our mind not lose in our mindfulness and the vigilance. We keep concentrate. This is a good practice to spiritual thinking inside. Our mind change to be happy, not change outside our friend relationships, not change like this, change inside. Then everything is okay. Sanje Judan Loje Jona La Janjo Badu Dani Yasun Che Dagi Ajin Zo Yive Zona Ji Rola Benje Sanje Rubo Mago Gundo Agai Zusan Jinji Wula Jin Tugji Jinji Rola Se Jere Zila Jade O Mani Beme O Mani Beme O Mani Beme Mani Beme O 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 Mani Beme 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 O Mani Beme O Mani Beme Mani Beme O 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 Mani Beme Mani Beme O Mani Beme O Mani Beme O Mani Beme Chanjo semjo rembo je ma je bana je juro je wa nyamba me wa ya kone kondo be wa 다 계산도 좋아됐어. 하디요래. 아니 저런 좀 나는 유니데 되는 아니 좋아도 해로다. 근데 제일 간도 되라. 아니 내 유니는 좀 좋아.
So yesterday we gave more time for people question in the room here in the center. So if you have some question in the Zoom, you can first have opportunity. If you have some question, you can just open your mind.
아니 저런도 잘 듣는 런한데 다.
If you have to go also, no problem. You can, if you have some other activity, no problem. If you have question, you're welcome. Do you have some question? Okay. So if no question, we ask question here also.
야. 얘는 저는 처음에는 내 좋아지도 없어.
If you don't have question, I will ask question.
닝제 생인데 닝제 당공한도 고득도 많은 닝제 생인 내일 하버리도 다 저런 쪽에 타말라 닝제데 냠네 시투사레 시투사 말해서 간대지도.
So in the beginning, we said like,
Aha.
so
I
in the
just figured
beginning,
out
we
how to
said like,
unmute it.
we have in the beginning, maybe you thought compassion, we can practice compassion, but in the end, now do you think, oh, I think now compassion difficult, I can practice or I cannot practice compassion? What do you think now?
Okay, then do it.
Okay, do you have a question?
Yes,
Okay, Alan, yes.
magic. So I was trying to figure out whether compassion and empathy are still the same thing. We can still be empathic as well as having compassion. Is that a literal sense? And also, secondly, on the third place, we were taking action on liberating people's suffering. So how much levels do we take that? Like on a daily basis, could we liberate a friend's suffering, and that's a good thing for that day or that week, instead of taking it to a big worldly sense of suffering that we cannot physically change all the time, which we change by just feeling that empathy for world acts that are happening, wars and things like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually also, first of all, we have to understand, like in the Buddhist philosophy, when we talk about compassion, probably if we look in the dictionary, if we look in the psychology, like terms, like etymology, maybe the meaning will be different. Okay, so first of all, we have to understand this different meaning because, for example, in our language, in English, we have some different words like compassion, we have maybe empathy, we have like sympathy, we have pity, we have different kind of things. Okay, but in Tibetan language, we don't have too much this kind of category. So like compassion, because sometimes people, what they feel difficult is, for example, we have like feeling other people suffering, and it makes them suffer because they
you feel too much sorrow, eh?
Too much suffering, yeah. So compassion is not like that. Actually, compassion at the opposite will not make you suffer, but will make you empower, will make you like you have some opportunity or some kind of empowering attitude to help others to relieve their suffering, because also you know that they are suffering, and also with the power of wisdom, you know how you can achieve some state where you can relieve them of some kind of suffering. And as you said, we have to go by stages. In the Buddhist text also we explain to go by stages. As Lama Sentient mentioned, you first start with equanimity, before training in actual great compassion and actual capacity to think I will relieve others from suffering. So you train by some qualities like equanimity. They have all these kinds of step-by-step teachings that we train in. And for sure, as you say, we begin maybe by thinking more about someone close from us. Even in the Buddhist text mentioned that we should begin with ourselves. Before thinking about real compassion for others, we first try with ourselves. We develop good attitude for ourselves. After we try with the closest person, and after we can expand to other ones, and after our enemies, and slowly expand to all sentient beings.
Thank you so much. Your question is really good. Yeah, just before I talk it, there's a many different kind of compassion we're talking, but now we're talking great compassion. This is a different way of thinking like this. Yes, there's really many similar.
Yeah, similarities.
Yeah, many similar. Yeah, many things. Yeah.
Hi, sorry, I have a question. It's Carolyn from Toronto.
Yes.
Hi. I find that I'm trying to do compassion, and it's very new for me. I haven't been doing it as long as obviously you guys have been studying it and doing it. And I try to have compassion for other people as well as myself. But I sometimes find that I get the emotions start to happen. So how, I don't know, in the Buddhist, maybe because you do this all the time, but do you have a suggestion, or is there something that you can help to separate that? Does that make sense, my question?
Yes.
그런 렌접다 참받은 거는 사무 단투이니 텐도로도 슉차게 그지 대답을 대처는 랍신.
Yeah. Yes, actually, Lama Sentient mentioned a little bit also today, like he said, like in the terms of practice, we have in the Buddhist tradition, very like popular, we say we have 3 steps. Before, in order to put something into practice, you know, and you can compare that to any kind of practice of any kind of things in your daily life, for example. For example, before you begin to take your car to drive on the road, you need to some training before, you know, you need to go to the school and they will show you how to drive and this and this. So that's why in Buddhist also we have same thing. First we learn, second we analyze, we understand, we think, we question. And now when we have a good understanding, now we try to practice. So probably that's what happened most of the time. Like nowadays, people just take the example of meditation. They will hear a little bit about meditation, thinking meditation means you just sit and you just close your eyes and you take this posture. This is meditation. And after they say, oh, for me, meditation difficult. But that's why, because we didn't learn what is meditation. In the Buddhist tradition, it's not like that. First, you learn what is meditation, how to practice, how to prepare, all these things. And after you yourself understand, you try to understand how it works. And after you put into practice. So it's the same thing for compassion. If we want to have good practice of compassion, I think first we need to learn about that. So that's most important point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, thank you very much. I think sometimes though, for me, and I don't know about other people, it can kind of become overwhelming maybe, because maybe you have stuff going on as well. Like,
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like this, yeah, we have, because what is compassion exactly in Buddhist philosophy, a little bit different from what we learn.
right. Okay.
That's why, you know, so
yeah.
Compassion is not something you only contact other people suffering and you take that upon yourself. It's not like that, you know, it's something like you really understand how actually it empowers you and gives you a sense actually of happiness, because you feel that you are connected to others and you can help to relieve their suffering. So
okay, thank you. Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Okay. Then somebody there, question? Here. Yeah.
When I heard this, I'm wondering, why should I take because I can help the person to get rid of suffering, but without taking on myself. So it's possible to explain this concept, like what exactly do you mean by taking self?
Yeah, so the question is about, you know, when we talk about taking the suffering on oneself, so is it possible, or can you explain about that? Actually, for example, Buddha said, I show you the way to freedom and liberation, but liberation depends on yourself. So Buddha cannot do for us. So if Buddha cannot do for us, I think we cannot do for others also.
Anyway, we're waiting Buddha.
But what it means is we train the mind. Here we just talk about training the mind, because the mind is egocentric, and is this egocentric brings suffering. So now we open the mind to others. This will bring us happiness. But if the mind is not well prepared and we think about taking the suffering of others, actually we cannot actually take the suffering of others because it's related to their own personal experience. But thinking about that will open the mind to others. This in itself will bring suffering, will bring happiness. But this, when the mind is not well prepared and you don't have the good understanding of this, so it will bring you fear. So that's why before great compassion, we need the preparation. Today, we just made introduction. We don't have time to explain how to do all that, but actually that's how it should be done. That's why Lama Sentient said, should not be taught to someone not ready, because thinking about that can bring fear and can bring anxiety and much suffering, more suffering. So that's why today we just introduce, you know, we cannot explain how to do it.
Cultivated from within.
Yeah, good.
From my perspective, right? As I understand, compassion is like a state of your conscience, right? So you can see clearly what's going on with another person and what's going on with you. So from my experience, and this is a question too, if I see that somebody else is suffering, like for example, my close friend or my relative, and I see what is the reason why this person is suffering, and I try to help them in order to explain what is the reason and why there's the suffering here and what you're supposed to learn, because suffering is a good thing. Because you're supposed to like understand, you're supposed to analyze what you're doing wrong. And I try to help them, you know, try to explain, okay, this is why you're suffering, this is why you're suffering, and this is why you're suffering. And while I tried to do it, you know, I realized that I'm losing this state of conscience. It's like kind of like energy I'm putting here, here, and here, and I'm losing it myself. So I got a lot of energy back if person hears me and he's taking the actions and he's kind of like healing himself, right? But usually people don't want to hear. They're not ready for it. So my question is how to keep this state of mind in yourself. Doesn't mean like I was weak, sort of, if I could say so, right? Or I should not even bother to work with others. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like hopefully you like understand what I mean.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so actually, there is an example. First, I just begin with an example. There is in the Buddhist text one example we called how do you say this animal? Un pain. Comment on dit un pain? Ouais, l'oiseau, le pain. There was one bird, you know, he has lots of feathers, you know, like very good color like that when he's proud. Huh? Peacock, yeah, peacock. There's a peacock, okay? I don't know if it's true or not, but in the Buddhist Mapcha, peacock, he say, it eats one kind of plant. This is a poison. It will give him energy. But other birds, they take this plant, they will die. So it compares the bodhisattva, who's the person who practiced the Mahayana, who has great compassion, and the regular people. So this bodhisattva, he has something, energy from helping others and taking others suffering and have this great mind of compassion. But if we are not bodhisattva, we try to do that, is bringing us down, you know. So it all depends on the mental attitude. So that's why, again, we need to train the proper mental attitude to the proper training, you know. Like example, I cannot do some weightlifting if I never trained before, you know, I will break my back or I will break something, you know. I need to train for a long time, and after this posture or this acrobacy will be easily done, you know. So we need to train a long time. There's a mind training. And also in the Buddhist tradition, we use this two example, these two objects representing compassion for the dorje and wisdom for the bell. So when we have compassion, we try to help others, we need to use wisdom also. Because sometimes we have good intention to help, but if they're not ready to listen, we kind of lose our time, you know. They are not benefited, and maybe also they become more and more distant from us. So we are not using wisdom, so it's not helping them, maybe harming them. So we have to use always wisdom to speak in the proper time, in the proper way, in the proper situation. We still keep the compassion, but we have to use the proper way. For example, maybe a parent can have 2 or 3 or 4 kids, but with one kid, he can speak this way, but another kid, he cannot speak this way. For example, this kid is more gentle, so he speaks very gently, the kid will listen. But the other one, if he speaks gently, will continue bad behavior. So he has to be more strict, you know. It's the same love, same compassion, but using different ways because wisdom. So we have to like that. Yeah.
당긴게 전송스 된데게 결혼도 삼로다 티왈레그서 전송스 당긴게 라인 봐서 나란도 시제 슈데 특별정보고 슈시 안에 슈 년년이 capacity 특별정보 많이 배차되어라. 근데 군인님도 다 놓두고야 말았어요. 당간도 특별정보게 특별정보와 간사 차선에 안에 특별정보 슈데 원내 림보 약보 빵보여랬어.
Because we say like the Dharma that is explained, I mean, example, Dharma, he looks like Buddha's teaching, and the person who listens has to be the same capacity. So what we are talking about here is great compassion, but in order to be able to understand and listen about great compassion, the person needs to be also of the great capacity. So we call like Mahayana teaching has to be with person of already prepared mind, who has already this attitude. So the Mahayana teaching should be taught to Mahayanists, the person who has this Mahayana attitude.
라인 봐서 이는 나란도 대린 특별 첨보와 마샤웨는 특별 첨보의 초디 셰브인자 이 바자지 샤쇼스.
So even if we are not Mahayanists, because it's difficult, this attitude, teaching about this Mahayana teaching can open the mind, can bring some kind of imprints in the mind. So in the future, we aspire and we can develop this kind of Mahayanist.
Yeah, I wish you all we are to become Mahayanists. Then we will do everything as we capacity to liberate sufferings, our sufferings, other people's sufferings. Everything is possibility to do, a possibility. Now we are a little bit difficult, but we try to. We are lucky, okay? We are lucky, those kind of teaching, wisdoms, we are lucky. I'm so happy. Thank you so much. You are coming these 2 days, us together. We are so happy. You are anytime, all come. So now I stop here, little bit break, coffee time.
Thank you. Namaste.
Okay, so usually we should start at 11, but now we're a little bit different schedule. So maybe we do 25-minute break. So we'll start at 11:20. Okay, we just do a short 11:20 short introduction to Buddhist philosophy from 11:20 to 12. Okay, so in 25 minutes. Okay, 25-minute break.
We are so happy. Then the time is gone.